Open the depths of your mind. Free your subconsciousness and merge it with your consciousness. There are things beyond what you can see. Join me on this journey of living a healthier life. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Conscious Subconsciousness. The topic of this episode is friendships. I'll be sharing a couple good ones and bad ones that I've had throughout my life. And I will share how I dealt with some of the bad ones. So I was about 3 years old, and we had a new neighbor. So my mom took me out to meet one new kid in the neighborhood, and she met the mother. And so first thing that happens is he runs up to me and punches me in the stomach. Now, it didn't really hurt. It more caught me by surprise, and I was like, what did I do? Why would he do this? He was the first kid I met, so it seemed like a normal greeting from one kid to another. So, I was 8 or 9, for like 5-6 years after that event, and I had met another kid who moved in throughout this time, and he ended up moving away. So I went with him to his house, his new house, and I played a bunch of video games and hung out. So a week or two later, the first kid I met, he was like, or came out, and the other friend was there too. I think they were still moving stuff out of the current house. So I was like, hey, I went over to his house. It's really cool, and the kid whose house I went over to, he's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I did. Come on. I mean, play video games. We jammed out on them, And he's like, no, you're a liar. I'm like, what? What is going on here? It was very confusing. I didn't understand why he would do this. I thought he was my friend. Why he would say that I was lying. It was that point that I realized neither of them were ever actually my friend. From the realization, I no longer tried to have any friendship with them. Plus, the other kid, a little bit later, ended up moving away too. Now, there is another negative friendship I want to talk about. When it started off, though, it was really good friendship. Like, we hung out a whole bunch, like, many times a week. We saw each other in school. We hung out. We actually had lunch at the same time, so we sat at the same lunch table, and we even did like a school project together for English class. We had English class separate periods, and this was high school, by the way. I don't think I mentioned. It took place during my high school years. The friendship started great. So he told me a story how he was pretty much the best. I was in track and field. I myself was in track and field in high school, and I was a long distance runner. So he told me, I found out that he was also a long distance runner in the previous school he went to, which happened to be the previous school I went to before we moved and went to the school I was going to through middle school and high school. Sometimes friends could be too good to be true. After I get off the school bus, I go on, I think it was MySpace at the time, before Facebook became a thing. And I messaged my friend. I was like, hey, you know this guy? He's like, yeah, I know him. I was like, hey, he was on track and field. He's like, yeah, he was. I'm like, well, he said that he was the best runner. I think that's pretty cool. And he is like, his response was, no, he wasn't. So I'm like, wait, he wasn't? He's like, no, he was okay, but he wasn't like in the top. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is interesting. I don't know why he would lie to me about that. And this friend who I was messaging, I don't think he's ever lied to me throughout like the 10 years I was friends with him. So I was like, okay, all right. I gave him a chance. So I slightly confronted him and told him what my friend from my old school said. He ended up getting defensive and changed what he originally said. So what he said now was that he wasn't the best, but he was close to being the best. There were many other things I caught on to as being lies. I didn't need a pathological liar as a friend, so I stopped talking with him. Honesty is a very important trait for a friendship. Now that the negative friendships are out of the way, I could talk about the positive ones. Everyone has positive and negative friendships in their lives. You just have to keep the positive ones and get rid of the negative ones. Even the positive friendships have negative things happen in them. But hold on to those positive friendships. So when I was in 6th grade, I moved school districts. And within about a week of living in the new house and going to the new school district, I had met this one kid who lived across the street and like 2 or 3 houses down from where I lived, through friends that I made, several, like, I don't know, 8 houses down the other way. And right away, like, him and I got along super well. He was into the same video games I was. He was into like superheroes and all that stuff. So of course I'm gonna be this kid's friend. Throughout the friendship, he was always there for me, and I was always there for him. Anytime he needed anything, I was like, yo, what, how can I help you? And anytime I needed anything, he was like, hey, I'm here for you, buddy. What do you need? So through the years, anytime anyone would give me shit, he'd be like, leave Dan alone. That's, I'll kick your ass if you don't stop. Like, that's the kind of guy he was. Like, he would step in. If I was to get in a fist fight with someone, he would step in and like go after the guy who I was in the fist fight with. So anyway, spent all these years through high school. I didn't really cause any. We didn't really cause any trouble. Him and I, we kept out of trouble. Unlike a friend who I'm gonna mention next, where we did end up in some trouble through high school and middle school. The friendship that I had with this guy, like, there was no ups and downs. It was just, we always got along. We had no reason to argue or fight or any of that. It's actually the best friendship I've ever had with anyone. There is another friend I want to mention. Now, the second guy I want to talk about, he is actually the guy who I met, the first guy I talked with for a positive friendship. I met that guy through this guy who I'm going to talk about now, where we did cause some trouble in like middle school. Those were good times. Middle school, high school, outside of school was mostly where we caused trouble, like in high school. But middle school, it was inside school. High school, I was all about business. I want to get good grades. I want to pay attention in class, all that. And I actually, I remember his parents thanking me in high school for helping him with like school, because we had the same class. It was either 10th or 11th grade. It was like a social studies class. And he came up to me, he was like, I bet I could get better grades than you in this class. And I was like, all right, you're on, buddy. He got really awesome grades. My grades improved. I went from like 80s to 90s in the class. He went to like high 80s, low 90s. So I helped drive him, and he helped actually with the challenge. He helped me with that class as well. But anyway, he was another friend who was always pretty much there for me. Through middle school and high school, he was always there for me. Just like the other friend, he would always stick up for me when shit hit the fan. Sometimes causing trouble can be fun. When shit hits the fan, that's when you find out who your true friends are. Throughout life, you will learn what friends to keep and what friends that you don't need. I have, for the most part, kept my friend group small throughout my entire life. So if I go out of my way to keep in touch, that means the friendship means a lot to me. Some people like being social butterflies. If that's you, all the power to you. I have tried to be a social butterfly and also try and keep everyone happy. A people pleaser is the term. It costed me my happiness and a part of myself. The most important thing is to be true to yourself. And if any of your friends don't respect that, then make sure to talk with them about it. If that doesn't help come to an understanding between you and the friendship, then some thought on where to go from there is more than likely needed. Communication is a big factor in friendships. When problems arise, it is good to talk with the friends that it happens with. And if the problems don't get resolved and they keep happening, do you really need that friend as a friend? Well, now that your ear has been talked off, it is time to wrap this up. I do want to mention that I have made really amazing friends through my fiance, and her and I are really lucky to have them in our lives. Remember, weigh pros and cons with friendships and always be true to yourself. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Conscious Subconsciousness, and I hope you have a nice day, morning, evening, night, and afternoon, and I'll see you next month. Sadly, I actually will not be able to do another video for a couple more months because it's getting crunch time for all the wedding stuff, and I'm not going to quite have the time to record and edit another video until September at least. This video here took so much time to record and edit, and so I do really hope you enjoyed it though, and I hope this video helped you out, and I hope the last video helped you out. You can check the last video out on here, and when the next video is up, it will be on here somewhere as well. So, see you then.